And Paul, Larry loves it when we drink and swallow right in the microphone.
Fucker.
Sponsored by Swallow.
Hey, you know what? I do got to owe you amends, though. I'm going to hold on a second.
Whoa, then put that fucker on air.
That's going to be on air now.
I'm getting better, Paul. I'm getting better about the F word.
I'm not. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Larry.
You're getting ready to take a fucking drink right there.
I'm going to swallow right on
Son
this
of a
microphone.
bitch. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back. Hey, so we just finished up with Paul. That was what's fun about your story, Paul. Paul's back with us. What was so fun about listening to Paul's story was you don't hear, I stayed in my same career, right? Because I never lost anything. Paul went from having zero to senior vice president of a huge, of a large healthcare facility. So, I mean, however you want to look at that, whether it's a dream coming true or just the promises or however you want to look at that.
All Paul did was walk through the doors that God opened for him.
That's exactly where I was going.
He did the footwork.
Right?
He always does the footwork.
And just if God says it, just follow it. And
one of the things we say, and I've shared this, I've even shared it with Paul. It's at the, more than just Paul. I think I was at the United States meeting. I try to, because when I first got in here and I've shared it, I try to listen to everybody. Right. Which I didn't always, Paul. There were some people, when they talk, I just fucking tune them out. And there was one guy that I couldn't stand. Primary purpose. Oh, fuck, here he goes again. So I just tuned him out. And at this point, I'm maybe 2 years sober. And I've been praying for something. I mean, working with God and not getting any answers, I thought. And at the end of this guy's share, I just happened to catch the end of it. Like, oh shit, there was because God speaks to me through
right.
Like, oh shit, there it was. Now, am I going to humble myself and ask this guy at the end of the meeting, hey man, I caught the end of it. Would you please, because it's what I needed to hear. Or am I just going to say, of course I did. And I got to hear what, and the whole thing, he says, Rob, I love when you, and he doesn't know what I thought about him. I love him today. He doesn't know who this is anyway, but
that's funny.
It taught me, God taught me more humility to listen. But there are certain men that I hear better. I listen to everybody, but there's certain, Paul's one of them. Bob's one of them. Scott's one of them. I can hear when they speak, I can hear them. And I need that. Very
true. And there's some ladies that speak. When Mary speaks,
and Marianne is one.
Yeah. But I mean, I get a lot from new people, only because
those are like scouts.
Oh my gosh,
stuck in their ass. It was still no good out there. I'll stay sober. Thank you for doing my homework.
I get when somebody says I got 24 hours, I'm all ears, man. I want to hear it. I want to hear their voice.
Seeing the pain.
Oh yes, sir. You know what? We're sick to want to hear that, right?
No, I want to see that pain.
But if people don't understand what we mean by that, because if you see that sickness and then you watch that light get turned back on, the joy for us, right? The joy that we get watching that light come on, like we saw with Mikey Stillman. Watching all that come back on, like we watched with Nathan. I mean, Nathan was 6 years sober before that light just.
Well, then he worked his steps and watched how God is just look where he's at now.
Just illuminating now, and it's so fun. But I'm surprised you didn't make me do my amends before you started running your mouth.
Well, I can't get a word in edgewise with your big mouth.
You started it, prick.
Go ahead.
Hey, you know how I give you all the shit for you not having your face close enough to the mic?
Right.
And how I always got to mess with your volumes.
Right, which is wrong. I always have my face the same distance.
You know what the problem was?
What?
I had this fucking mic inside my mouth talking. That's why it was so fucking loud all the time. I finally came back up here. I'm like, I got to figure out why your mic is so low all the time. So I recorded on your mic and it was the same as how I speak. And I realized, oh, fuck, I must be sitting too close to the mic. So yes, it was me. So it wasn't you.
That's an amends? That sucked. Who taught you how to make amends?
Go fuck yourself.
Jesus.
My lousy ass sponsor.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to talk about Canada a little bit.
Go ahead.
So I had freaking great, right? I went with Dougie P,
and Jason R.
Jason R, yeah. But me and Dougie were travel partners. That poor dude had to travel with me, and for God's, you've had to stay with me in my motorhome.
Yes,
I'm a very high maintenance guy at nighttime.
Paul, he likes to cuddle too. He likes to spoon. Pisses me off.
But here, you were small enough to cuddle.
It was your motorhome. I got to do what you got to do.
Doug wouldn't let me cuddle with him, but man, he woke up one morning and saw all my snacks laying around my bed. I'm telling you, man, I'm still a sugar nut. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I need sugar.
I'm good as long as I don't take one. If I eat one, and then there's
I don't know.
five down the road.
Maybe if I try to go to sleep without it. So anyway, so it was awesome. It was super tough to get into meetings. There was meetings going 24 hours a day. You had an east side and a west side, and there was just all kinds of meetings, and you had these little schedules, not little, you had these schedules, and mine started from 9 to 11, and then another one's from 11 to 1:30, then another one from 1:30. I mean, they were just nonstop. Well, when I set up my schedule, right, because I was going by Larry's schedule instead of going, hey, let's just see what happens today. I'm going to try and make it to this one.
Let God work today.
I'm going to try to make it to this one. Then I'm going to no, I had Larry's schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I had one at 9 o'clock that I wanted to go to. So me, Jason, and Doug all made it to the first one. I was like, all right, I'm running over to this other one. I get there and it's closed. Too many people. It's filled up. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? It's filled up. Why would you guys have something like this? Put these meetings out and it's filled up. Fuck, now I got to find another meeting. So I was looking for another meeting. I went running over to that one. It was on the west side. I went running over there. And that one was fucking full. Now Larry's pissed. Now, what the fuck? You guys have these meetings, but nobody can get into them.
Well, the people can get into them. You just couldn't.
So
there's people in there, just not you.
So I went over onto this couch and I started pouting. I was just pouting.
Is that when I got the call?
Yes. That's when I called you. I was like, motherfucker. And I was pouting like a little bitch. And this little old lady sat down next to me, right? And we're sitting there, we're just chit-chatting a little bit. And I go, I've been trying to get into 2 meetings and I haven't been able to get into them. It's difficult. And she turns around like this. She's like, did you try to go into that meeting? And it was come meet your neighbors from the East Coast, right? And I'm like, no, and as soon as those words were coming out of my mouth, I realized what she was doing. I go, I get it. Just get into any meeting. She goes, right. So Larry was humbled pretty fast. But then on Saturday, I told Doug, I said, hey, whatever happens today happens, right? Here's a meeting I want to go to. And then we went to the first one and I'm still sitting there pouting a little bit. And because I just hadn't, and Doug and Jason were just going off about this other meeting and they were talking about how great meetings they were into. And I hadn't been into one. And the 3 of us went to the first meeting of the day and the first speaker came up and it was like, oh, it was good. It was better than what I've seen. But then the second one came up. This girl was Madeline H. from out of New York. And she raised the freaking roof of this place.
Here's the big spoiler alert. I don't know how many people are new in this room, but if you're new, I'm going to blow the lid off the thing. Higher powers will, happening with or without me. They don't need me on board. I don't have to sign off. I don't need to be in acceptance. That shit is happening. Alcoholics Anonymous. And the third step in particular is the invitation for me to get on board so I can stop getting dragged behind it.
She went off for 20 minutes. She just... Hold on.
She used the F word too, right?
Spoiler alert. I don't know how many people are new. There are actually 4 things in the world that I care about more than anything else. And that is power, control, attention, and affection. Those are the 4 things I am truly motivated by as a person and as an alcoholic. And
so I was sitting there, and when she said that right there, I'm like, this girl is inside my brain. Right. It was incredible how, when she said those 4 things, I'm like, that's exactly what that's exactly it. And then, so she finished. We were able to buy all the recordings, right? I was able to get several recordings and I actually got the one that Doug and Jason went into, and I'm going to try and listen to it this afternoon. But so at the end of that, I'm like, I got to get this girl on the podcast. So when she was done, she kind of came down off the stage and she was just surrounded, right? And I was like, screw that. So I left and I went upstairs. I was going to try to go into another meeting. As I was going up that escalator, God just hit me. Get your ass back down there. So I went back down there and I was standing right. I wasn't going to wait in that line because I'm Larry. I shouldn't have to wait in the line, right?
No, you shouldn't.
Just look at me. You know who I am?
Yeah. Come on.
So I stood there for the longest time until that line finally got short enough. And I'm like, well, she ain't going to break away from that to come over and talk to me so I might as well go stand in line. So I stood in line. I finally got to the end of it. And I told her, I said, hey, I got a podcast. I love nothing more to have you come on. And she goes, yeah. I go, can we talk after you're done? So she finished up And then I got her number and I said, can we meet afterwards? Like outside. She goes, of course. So she came up, she met with us and we talked about it. She actually lives in New York, but she comes out here once. She comes out here in June and she comes out here in December. So she was done. She was getting ready to fly
Which
back
is awesome.
home.
June's my sobriety date. December's my belly button birthday.
Well, she'll be out here for your belly button birthday. So she's going to come out.
53 years old.
So she's, oh God. So she's going to come out here and record with us, man. And I'm going to tell you, when I was done listening to her, James was like, you want to go to another one? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm done. You know, and we went, me and Doug did finally try to go into one, but it was full too. And I told Doug, I said, you know, listen to her speak, what paid for my entire trip as far as I was concerned.
Isn't that something?
I mean, I literally from the Friday of I got to a couple meetings, but they were blah. But I got to hear her speak, and her whole story was just incredible. Listen to her, just the way she spoke. It was almost like she was inside my head, and I can't wait to have her on the show. So she's going to be here.
Good.
She's going to be here. So you wanted to bring up.
I did. So this is going to be for Paul. Because I'm not on social media, Paul, at all. Never have been. Larry is. So I have no. So he shares. I live vicariously through him through the social media avenues.
And Bonnie.
And my wife. Yeah. So here. I'm gonna read. This is from Jim. I gave away his anonymity last time. It's Jim Hart. He's our age, a little bit Larry's age, a little bit older.
33 years as a firefighter, retired, living in Denver.
Just jumped in. He jumped into AA with both feet. He's brand new, kind of. He says, guys, I promise I'm not stalking you, so I'll quit sending emails. But after every episode, you ask us, the listeners, to let you know how you did. I'm old, so he's retired, and he mows lawns at a golf course now, so I get the time to listen to at least one a day and catch up. Today, I listened to Mike and Kim. That's Mike Stillman and Kim, who they lost their son at the same time Jason lost his son. I took so much from it. The support of Kim was so incredible and touching. I could go on and on about the story, the similarities and differences. But I just want to hit one major thing and have you tell Mike, thank you so much. I played some music on my headphones for a few hours yesterday after I listened to your show. Total 80s hits. I dig it. It took me back to high school, and a bit of nostalgia. With those memories came a lot of reflection on the start of my alcoholism. Along with that, of course, came the memories of people and how badly I treated so many of them. I was actually feeling pretty low and guilty by this AM. I mean, how do you make living amends to people you don't see? And of course, at this point, you can't make amends to someone you treated poorly 36 years ago without hurting someone. So I was feeling guilty in the morning. Then Mike got to talking about how much guilt he feels with Kim, his wife. How could he make up for so many things? Then Larry was talking about the same things with Katie. Then Rob, the voice of reason, always pops up with great insight. Thank you for that, Jim. I guess the point is, by the time the show was over, I felt so much lighter. Had Mike not taken it down that road, especially near the end, I may have walked away still feeling down, but didn't. So you wanted to help at least one person today? Today, that was me. So, Paul, and because I don't know, a lot of the things that used to bother me working the steps were not so many the things that I had done to people, but shit that I had said.
Mm-hmm.
The hurtful shit that I had said. And you can't go back. Hey, remember when I called you a fat toad or, whatever back then? And you would hope they would have forgotten about it, but they didn't, because I don't forget.
Nope.
Sticks and stones is bullshit. Words, words my dad could have told me cut deeper than any lash, any whip.
I'd rather had a spanking.
Yeah. So the question he asked is, how do you make a living amends to people you had hurt? And Paul's got coming up on 38 years of sobriety. Paul, how do you make a living amends to people you had hurt years ago? What is a living amends to you? And how would you answer that gentleman's question?
This may sound too simplistic, but
no,
I don't do the things to them that I used to do. Or to anybody new.
Right. The behavior must stop.
And I've got this like health app on my phone that goes through work. And one of the things that two of the things that it asks me on a daily basis, have you shown yourself compassion with your emotions? The other thing, have you showed kindness to somebody else? And to me, those two things, I can always answer yes, because I am consciously thinking about what can I do today to try in some small way or even large way to do something kind, consciously kind for somebody else. And can I give myself forgiveness for you know, for the things that I don't think I do well. My first sponsor instilled in me that just what you just said. There are people that I'll never be able to make amends to. Okay. But that's where the living amends comes in, is how we take the things that we used to do and the hurtful things and the selfish things that we used to do, we just don't do them anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you want to flip that coin on its other side, overtly be kind to other people. Mm. I'll tell you something funny. It's something I learned years and years ago. And I've done this as kind of an experiment. I still do it from time to time. Walking in public somewhere and just smiling at people.
Oh, yeah.
And watching to see, do they smile back?
Right.
I don't get a resentment if they don't. You know, it's like, that's their business. That's, whatever. But that is one of the kindest things that you can give, a gift to everybody. Right. And you don't have to know them. You don't have to say,
right. And it doesn't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost you anything. Just smile at somebody. There are times when that's gotten me in trouble. It's like, what are you smiling at?
Right. Why are you so fucking happy?
What are you looking at? But the point being is, I don't care. I especially love it when I'm walking and I see and I'm reading the facial body language of somebody who looks like they're in turmoil or deep in thought about something, and maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. But if I can make eye contact with that person and give them a smile, I feel good. I feel good that, maybe they needed that.
Yeah.
And whether or not they smile back or whatever, I feel like that in a very small way, that's transmitting love.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. I tell you guys that.
Now you answer the question. You answered Jim's question. How do you make a living amends?
I think the living amends.
I've got an answer myself.
Well, and I've said this before on the living amends, and I think Paul said it well: is stop doing the shit that you've done, right? My living amends with my daughters, right, with my wife. I just had to change everything about myself, right? And in those living amends, this is, I'm kind of going on a couple things here. If you stop doing the bullshit that you did, eventually that becomes the past, right? And those things, you become on a new persona and a new character, right? And that new character takes on a new life of itself, and that old person dies away, right? And they forget about that stuff. There's my living amends, right? My toughest time when I got sober was forgiving myself. That was the toughest thing I had to do, was forgive myself. And how I do that now, Paul said it too. Yeah. I give back to others, right? The more I give, the more I feel better about myself. I tell you guys in the group text, every once in a while, I always say, make a stranger smile, right? I used to tell that to my kids even before I knew this, hug a stranger, right? I used to tell them that, make a stranger laugh today. I've always felt that inside, because when somebody makes me laugh that I have no fucking idea who they are, my whole day changes. Because if you're sitting shitty, if you're sitting like Job, like pouting, and somebody smiles at you, you go, huh, okay. Or you say, what the fuck are you so happy for? It just depends on how deep in the hole you are. But that's my living amends. Yeah.
Well, and mine's more, is as practical. Because if you ask Doug, because my last prayer, we talked about this, before I leave, because I do my 11th step upon awakening when we retire at night. But before I drive away, because usually I have to drive somewhere, I ask God, who can I love on today?
Right.
And Jim, this is my answer to you. And I ask God, who can I love on today? And sometimes it's the cashier at the grocery store who needs just a kind word or a smile. Right. Many times it's in my own house.
Right.
Changing that. Right. And it's always getting out of myself. And now that does not take away what I said 36 years ago.
Nope.
But I am not that man anymore. Right. And it's in getting my way. I pretend that every time I do something kind for someone else, not just for the sake of being kind, God is blessing that person that I said that harmful thing to. So I try to make it a conscious effort. And in my way, that's just every time I do something kind and get out of Rob, God's blessing that person.
And you're further and further away from that
prick.
Right. You're further.
And there are times, Paul, I have struggled, and I get up and I'm not much, but I'm all I think about in the day, and it's a grind, like mother. But I mean.
It happens. Yeah. I mean, we are not. This is progress, not perfection. We are far from being perfect. Far from being perfect. But
you, and I want to say something. What you had said about 3 minutes ago was one of the most profound things I ever heard you say, which was also in the way you described it. So I'm not. That's the only time you're getting.
I'm sure glad I got that recorded.
Yeah.
But it's the way I think. That is truly the way I feel.
Anything that gets me out of here
right.
is always a benefit.
Right.
And when I'm sponsoring, and I just got done with 3 men.
Right.
You know, Sam just got done. 3 men through the steps. Right. And one just went and got a job. It's awesome. I'm proud. I'm really super proud of him. But when I'm pouring myself into, when I'm giving of my time, my talents, my treasure, whatever God's given to me, into another human being, who's filling me up?
Right.
It's God. And it's that feeling is what I've been chasing all my life. Sex, drugs, booze.
Yes.
And I didn't know that's what I needed.
And I'm the same way with you, Rob. The more I give of myself, and the more people reciprocate with thank yous and that kind of stuff, that's what I was looking for.
Or even if I don't get that.
No, and you're right. But if I see,
by doing it,
but if I see that person growing off of knowledge that I've given them, that's what I chased.
Okay,
right?
Now to thine own self be true. Talk
Yeah.
to Paul about that.
So it was. I don't want to go into a ton of detail on the person, but I got to go sit with somebody yesterday that just got out of rehab, right, and talking to them and working through some stuff, and he was still so much denial. And I actually,
what do you mean?
He was still blaming. Right?
Everybody
blaming
else.
Everybody else.
Society,
right?
mommy and daddy, everybody.
Right. He was still blaming some stuff. Right.
Okay.
He was still blaming stuff, and he fresh, right? So I don't want to start getting on a soapbox and pounding on it, because I just was trying to be cautious of how hard I went, right? And when I left there, I called somebody and I said, "Hey, I just spoke with so and so. How is it?" I'm like, I don't think I just don't know. And he's like, "Well, he can't be true to himself." And as soon as this person said that, I was like, yeah, he can't, right?
No, I mean, he won't.
He won't, right? He won't.
Big
and it's
difference,
just like,
big difference.
And so my question is this, right? For me, my obsession for my alcohol and lying to myself left me at the same time. Literally left me at the same time. I realized how much I was lying to myself about the man I was, right? And that obsession for my alcohol left. When I stopped lying to myself,
justify, rationalize, or minimize.
Stopped lying to myself of who I was and how I was supposed to be, and just started being very true to myself in my inner thoughts, right? In my inner thoughts, life became easier. Just this whole walk through AA just became easier for me. Everything that I do become easier because now I'm true to myself, right? I respect what you say, but I'm still going to, what I feel is going to be how I feel. How I walk is going to be how I walk. How my Lord tells me to walk is how I'm going to walk. That's being true to myself. And if I have to tell you stories about myself, right, I can't do it. And so my question is do you remember that transition in yourself to where you stopped lying to yourself and you started getting real with yourself?
That was a process and again, that first sponsor really helped me with that because he'd hit me between the eyes with things that I didn't even realize. And that self-introspection thing about, lying to myself, it really, that was several years long, and it continues to some degree.
Oh yeah,
about looking at myself. Yeah. The way I describe it in me is, what is my motive?
Yep.
Is my motive selfish? There's a difference between my wants and my needs, and is this something I want or is this something I need? And not just beyond, not just, is this what I need? Is this what I need to be able to be the best person I can be, so that I can be of help to other people? Right. It's but that lying to myself, I lived in lie. Lies were tools for me to be able to get what I wanted, and so as far as a conscience about truth, I had none.
Yeah.
And then getting in here, it's a whole different realm of thought and feeling when you start getting into the introspection in yourself and start asking yourself, why am I doing this? What is my motive for doing this? And down to the thoughts.
And the big book is full. That's what it is. Motive. Why are we doing what we're doing? Because does God care about what we do with our hands? Obviously, yes. But does he care more about why we're doing it?
Right.
Obviously. Because if he can get to your heart, he can change the outcome of your hands, the outworking of your hands. Motive is everything.
Yeah. I heard you talking about this guy, and you're talking about him not getting it or not being ready or whatever. And I hear that and kind of like, learning to let people be where they are, because I heard this more than once coming along, is that you're right where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
All
right.
But the thing is for me, and I think the difference was that when people accepted me where I was, and yet they still showed me the love and compassion, that it was like, okay, whatever, you're where you're at. Just know that I'm here for you. I'm here. Whenever you're ready. If something changes,
great advice. I need to listen to that too.
I want you to know that I'm here, and that there is a solution, and you may not be ready to hear it or want it now. You may want to blame all your problems on on everything else around you and everything, but back to what you said, you move at the speed of pain,
right? Yeah, and I made it very clear that I want to help, right? I'm right here. But I mean, I think there's anyways, I don't know where that's going.
And
we spoke.
I get, I'm not gonna lie, I get frustrated because I've heard Paul, there's a guy, he's dead now, but in the old Friday night meeting, I'm not gonna, he had said one time I had like 3 or 4 people in there, when that meeting used to be huge, remember, before COVID. And this old timer who's a prick, but sorry, don't erase that. He was a prick. Anyway, but he had said, well, some of us got it. One of those newcomers was sharing about, they just lost a cousin who OD'd. And some of it, and then his next share was, some of us got to die so others can live. No. Some of us will die, but they don't have to.
Right.
We don't have to. And me and Larry we're passionate. We get frustrated because, and I'm never going to stop looking for that one word or that one phrase to catch that part.
I won't either.
So maybe I can stop them from one more. Right. I can save them from one more episode, and they get it. I may never, because we move at the speed of pain, but but I need to let people. Be where they are a lot. But and that's why I appreciate that.
Isn't that in some way us playing God, though?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It is, and it's just that it goes back to my control. I'm just a control freak, right? I want to be able to pop his head open, turn a couple screws, shut his head back down, and he's fixed.
Or not fixed. He's ready. He's ready to receive, but he's not ready, and it's not my job to get him ready.
No,
it's my job to be prepared when he is ready.
Right, and be available when he is ready. Right, and that's what I think. When I go back to that, the more I think about it, and I think there's a lot of people that were asking me to go see this person, right? And I feel like there was a little bit of a pressure put on me about it, and I probably put it on myself. Is probably what I did. But I just want to help people so much that I just want to be able to just drag them in and say, just follow me for a little bit. Yeah. I ain't perfect, but I can help you show a way.
But our book talks about it, and I know the book a little bit. It says, we could ruin a later opportunity.
Yes.
If we.
And I was reminding myself of that.
Which is where, Paul, that's where the wisdom of,
And I reminded myself of that yesterday when I was sitting with that guy. Is like
where they're at.
I had to back away a little bit because I didn't want to. I just was like,
we can ruin a later opportunity.
Right. And I just back, but he's sober. He's got 45 days sober. So he's
God bless.
Yeah, he's there. He's working it. So, anyways, that's really what I wanted to talk about.
One of the things my sponsor told me early on, and I really appreciate this, and I've never forgotten it. He said, "I'm not going to come hunting you down. I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to try and force this down your throat. The only thing I can do is share my experience, strength, with hope with you, and point out to you when the things that I observe and see that that I think I understand about you." He said, "But your recovery is your responsibility."
Yes. Amen. We've shared that too. It's your life. It's your recovery.
And I tell people, and I've seen. Most recently, there was a guy that I sponsored on and off for a while. Used to come to the Knights Ferry meeting. He would come in and out, and I just tell people, as long as you're still alive, there's still hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes back to what we talked about in the previous episode, or maybe it was this one a little bit earlier, but is like when did you say they're going to come when they're ready, right?
Well, maybe.
When they're ready.
Sometimes they die out there and they don't,
right.
they
and
never
that's,
make it.
I think that's the thing. That's the part that hurts me, right? Is that you don't have to die, man. You don't have to die. But what is that like? I got a friend that lives in Texas, and I'm trying to help with the daughter. right now, and he just like, she's hopeless. She's hopeless. And I'm like, well,
Now, as long as she's alive, she's got there's
you know,
hope.
and we'll just keep working. We'll keep talking,
keep praying.
Just and like, you know, this whole podcast started on, you know, from a guy that just kept working with his son, kept working with his son, kept working with his son, kept a roof over his head, kept helping him. Just happened to take the wrong dose at the wrong time, right? It wasn't he didn't do anything wrong. You know, my friend didn't do anything wrong. No. He did everything right. He just the son just wasn't ready, right? Just wasn't ready.
And some of us don't make it back.
No, and it just goes back to what I want to talk to. They just weren't being true to themselves, right? They were still telling themselves lies that this is just where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to end up. So
I justify, rationalize, or minimize. Right. The minute I'm doing that, I'm lying to myself. And once I'm thoroughly convinced that I'm going to lie to Paul, and once I get him convinced, I'm going to lie to Larry, and eventually that'll lead me to a drink.
Right. That's that I could text I got back after leaving my discussion yesterday was that, you know, he's all these things. And I'm like, I was every bit of that. In fact, I was probably better than he was. So, I mean, he's no different than the rest of us, right? He's no different than the rest of us. We're all liars. So,
Paul, given your, there's a question and I asked Rachel. She doesn't have what you have as far as, you know, the experiential aspect of it. But I'm gonna go back to on the street. Uh-huh. You know, we see him. How many ballpark are out there because of drug and alcohol abuse? How many have mental problems because of drug and alcohol abuse? And how many are out there, you know,
just because of mental health?
Yeah. I mean, what can we do to help more? What can we do? I mean, what's out there? Because I can't deal with the mental health issues, but someone with drug and alcohol addicted, whether that's brought on. I mean, I could. You know.
I've got a good friend that actually he sits on our community board at our hospital, and to me he's a saint. He actually goes out on the street and he takes things like in the wintertime blankets and sleeping bags, and he is not in any way ever asking anybody to do anything. He's there to try and make their life as comfortable as he can. I mean, and to me, it's like, wow, it takes a lot of heart to just go out and try to see to someone's comfort rather than to try and save them. You know, right. He's not trying to bring them in. He's not trying to do anything. Certainly can share, you know, where there's resources, but those people out there that are just, I mean, you stop and think they're lost. Wow. They're extremely lost, and things have happened. And I speak from my own experience about, you know, they came from somewhere.
Yes.
You know, they probably didn't ask for, you know, to have this life, but they've somehow managed to navigate this life, you know, the best way that they can, and that is their circumstance. I think there's a reference in the Bible about, you know, about the poor and saying, you know, when Jesus said, we're not going to save them all, you know, we're not going to save the poor from their lot. And then there's other lines of thought in that same thing is our mentality that puts us in that place that thinks that's where, you know, that we can't climb up out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get into that deep a thought. What I know is that it would be an impossible task to think that we could go out there and really save a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there suffering. I know that. Again, it comes down to, for me, it came down to the circumstances that were, you know, that presented themselves. And I just pray that they have those circumstances present themselves to them. I think everybody deserves to have the opportunity to live a safe life where where their basic needs are being met. And I think we do as a society, we try to do the best we can, but we fall far short, largely because of our greed and our, you know, right. We seek power, greed, and money and all this other stuff. And there was a TV evangelist, and I don't necessarily care for a lot of TV evangelists because there are a lot of times, you know, but this guy was, you know, he made a very profound statement. He said, we have the money and the resources to solve homelessness, hunger, all of that. Yep. We have it. Mm-hmm. We just don't do it.
Right.
And to me, that was like, wow. Yeah. Okay. How long has that been going on? Since recorded history, you know, civilization. The haves and the have-nots. I look at, you know, I love anthropology from the standpoint of looking at which civilizations have done the best at try to, and there have been civilizations and societies that they actually look after their people. They don't let, they don't let people suffer. They'll look after them. Everybody is their brother and sister. We just don't live in that world right now,
Yeah.
and so, what can I do? I can use my position and the things that I've been given, the doors that have opened for me, to try and do the best I can to try and make something better. And I think for all of us, it's I vet charities before I give money to them. I look online and see how much of their money actually goes to the thing that they're trying to do, rather than how much of it goes to administration and cost and things like that. So I mean, just things that. Just being conscientious about what can you do? Are you doing what you can? Don't hold yourself, don't beat yourself up for all that. I don't know what God's plan is for this world. I know, but I know this isn't anything new. It's been going on for thousands of years.
Right. Right. All right, guys. Well, Robert, thank you.
You're welcome.
Paul, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, don't forget Recovery Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com if you want to reach out. Recovery Unfiltered Podcast, just like our boy Hart did from Denver.
Yeah.
I haven't even told you, he's actually going to be in studio.
When?
So we're trying to work out the date, but he wants to come. He wants to come to a few meetings with us, and he's going to come in and record. He's got some PTSD stories that's going to tear your heart out.
Oh, yeah?
33 years as a firefighter. He told me in one day he had to pick up 3 babies from Sid in one day. That's just horrible. Yeah. So
That'll drive you to drink.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I'm excited to get him in here. He's going to be in here. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in. Take care.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.